Welcome back to We Talk Boxing, and this video I will be giving you my post-fight analysis and thoughts in regards to the Lyndon Arthur versus Walter Sequeira main event fight which took place on Saturday night. So before continuing, talking about the main event which took place between Arthur and Sequeira, I just wanted to mention, that there was a few other fights on the undercard which took place, which, there was some good quality fights really. The first one, was a good, fight between two fighters, called, Craig Woodruff versus Gavin Gwain. Probably butchered that name. Do you know what I mean? But it was a British light, it was a British lightweight title fight. Do you know what I mean? Between the pair. Do you know what I mean? And from the fight that I watched, you know what I mean? It was a brilliantly evenly matched fight between two classy boxers really, with some good boxing skills, often catching each other. Do you know what I mean? Throughout the fight with some big punches. Do you know what I mean? On many occasions, and even hurting each other on various occasions as well. Do you know what I mean? But I thought, for me personally, do you know what I mean? I thought that Craig Woodruff, was just, edging it slightly. Do you know what I mean? For me, he was a much stronger boxer. Do you know what I mean? A more active boxer, especially in the earlier rounds as well. Do you know what I mean? Which, kind of, I thought he was ahead by quite a mile, to be fair, but obviously it wasn't the case. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean. Obviously, Gavin Gwen as well. You know what I mean? He did okay. You know what I mean? Obviously, in the second half of the fight. Do you know what I mean? And especially the latter rounds and stuff, you know what I mean? He come on quite strong, and that's probably what, changed the view, do you know what I mean, of the judges really. And that's probably why obviously all judges pretty much went for a draw. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I just thought, I don't know, I just thought that, that Craig Woodruff, was edging it, and that he was, he was quite far ahead in the lead. But obviously it wasn't the case, because the scoring, for this fight, it was 1-4, 1-1, 114, by one judge, and 116, 113, as well as 114, 114. So yeah, so regardless, two of the three judges saw it as a draw, and the third judge, he went for Gavin Gwen. So yeah, it's quite interesting. But for me, I thought that Woodruff was ahead, but obviously, yeah, it's slightly different. But it was a very good fight, and I obviously encourage you guys to go back and watch that really. Now, there was another good fight on the card as well. Do you know what I mean? Which again featured, a fairly good up and coming boxer called Troy Williamson. Do you know what I mean? He took on David Benitez. You know what I mean? In 6 rounds. Do you know what I mean? But he avoided. You know what I mean? Pretty much a banana skin, and the potential upset. You know what I mean? By, beating his man. Do you know what I mean? And it was a good fight, but again, for me, this was pretty much a one way. You know what I mean? A one way fight really, because Williamson was just too strong for his man. Do you know what I mean? And eventually, got the stoppage. Do you know what I mean? In the sixth round, which was good for him, because he could then progress on. Do you know what I mean? And maybe ask for slightly tougher challenges in the future. Maybe even jump to 8 rounds, or maybe 10 rounds, depending on the opposition that his team, do you know what I mean, get for him really. So yeah, well done for Troy Williamson. Yeah, hopefully we've got a good prospect on the hands there. So my thoughts in regards to the main event, do you know what I mean, between Arthur and Sequeira, do you know what I mean, was that it was pretty much one-way traffic. Do you know what I mean? Which saw, do you know what I mean, Arthur, claim the six round stoppage, as the referee, jumped in really after beautifully timed, uppercut, which pretty much wobbled his man, and the referee obviously jumped in to kind of save him really, from further punishment. But as I said, the fight was pretty much one-way traffic. Do you know what I mean? There's only ever realistically going to be one winner in this fight. Do you know what I mean? And it was going to be Arthur. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, the guy. obviously everyone's got a puncher's chance in that, but I didn't even feel that this guy had that really. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, for me it was kind of one way traffic, but you know what I mean. My you know what I mean perspective and thoughts in regards to the performance by Arthur. Do you know what I mean? Is that pretty much, you know what I mean? He looked very accomplished at times. Do you know what I mean? Landing some big, powerful punches. You know what I mean? Some hooks and uppercuts, and his jab. Do you know what I mean? Was excellent, really. And the one thing that I liked, and I've always kind of liked about, you know what I mean, Lyndon Arthur, was that he doesn't really rush his work. Do you know what I mean? In regards to throwing shots and stuff like that, you know what I mean? He just takes his time. Do you know what I mean? As if he's pretty much got all the time in the world, and do you know what I mean? And everything that he does in that ring is set up by his excellent jab, really. Do you know what I mean? And he proved that again. You know what I mean? Last night, you know what I mean? The way that he delivered it and throwing it, sorry, through it all night and that. So yeah, so well done there. You know what I mean? Hopefully he could keep progressing and just change one or two things. You know what I mean? And hopefully plod on now. Do you know what I mean? Because it was a good performance for a guy who got stopped in his last fight. Do you know what I mean? Against, you know what I mean, Yard. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully, and he been out as well. What was it, like 10 months or something like that? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so hopefully he could, you know what I mean, get back to the gym, look to progress, put, you know what I mean, put right a few things. Do you know what I mean? Which his trainer, his head trainer, you know what I mean, Pat Barrett, kind of saw. Do you know what I mean? Because he was giving him a lot of advice throughout the fight. Do you know what I mean? Telling Lyndon, you know what I mean, to pretty much, do you know what I mean? Just, you know what I mean? Step back. You know what I mean? After popping that jab, just step back slightly. Do you know what I mean? And his man will kind of walk on. You know what I mean? To either a hook or straight or an uppercut. Do you know what I mean? Which again, because his man's coming forward to try and attack him, would get caught because he's not going to be thinking about defense. Do you know what I mean? And that's pretty much how the stoppage came about, really, because, you know what I mean, obviously it was Lyndon, you know what I mean, he's working behind that jab, threw a couple of jabs, took a little half a step back, bang, threw the uppercut, and it was game over, really. Obviously, he wobbled his man was hurt. I mean, his legs are kind of like, you know what I mean, seized up a little bit, and the referee thought, you know what, that was it. But he dropped his man a few other times earlier. Do you know what I mean? In the fight as well, I dropped him twice, I think. Yeah, earlier in round three as well. So yeah, it was always a matter of time, really. But you know what I mean? As I said in my pre-fight video, you know what I mean? Lyndon was always going to win. Do you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? He did call out. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, Yard. You know what I mean? Before the fight as well, saying that he wants that rematch and. Do you know what I mean? Potentially, you know what I mean? He wants to fight against a few of the other top British fighters. You know what I mean? In his division as well, such as Dan Aziz. You know what I mean? Craig the Spider Richards. Do you know what I mean? Maybe Callum Johnson and do you know what I mean? Rocky Fielding. These are just some of the names that are in his division that are quite highly ranked. And he did talk about potentially having one of these fights maybe early next year. But I think for me, really, I still feel as if, because this was his first fight back, I just feel that he may need one more fight before taking on someone like one of these names that I've just mentioned, just to give him, you know what I mean, just that bit more time in the ring and that sharpness and stuff, because he was rusty. Do you know what I mean? And it took him a little bit of time before he could get his man out there. And this guy was kind of like a bum, really. So, yeah, I just feel as if he could hopefully try and get one more fight before that big fight, British class sort of thing. Maybe in December. Because realistically, he didn't really take any punishment, you know what I mean, from the fight last night. So I do feel as if, you know what I mean, it can be like a quick turnaround sort of thing in regards to, you know what I mean, getting him back in the ring. Sorry, getting him back into training, a couple of weeks, etc. And then hopefully get him on a show later in December or something. But it just depends, really. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Events are booked around that time because he's obviously not going to be the main event, but it would just be good to get on one of these events to kind of like get some, you know what I mean, some much needed, you know what I mean, boxing time in the ring, really. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Obviously, you guys let me know in the comments below. Do you know what I mean? Who would you like to pretty much see Lyndon fight next? Do you know what I mean? Um, Let me know in the comments below. As always, please subscribe, like, and comment for more boxing related content. Bless.